Just a few words about Bitsme, the host of the event. We are working as a company for 2 years now, and for individuals for six. In the entire blockchain space, we help companies. We act like investment banking. Projects come to us, we help them build their business strategy, token economics, strategy, and then investor relations. We help them secure the investment. We've been doing that not too long though, but we already have 10 projects behind us, so we're very experienced. And when Ian and the guys here told us they want to come to Israel, we thought it's a great fit. We love the guys. We truly appreciate their work. And I think them being here in Israel is a great sign of what we achieved as a nation. Israel it's definitely one of the biggest blockchain hub in the world. In fact, we have the most ICOs and fundraise per capita here in Israel. So for us to having them be here is just a gratitude of what we do. And I will let the guys take that from here.
Yes, I mean, first of all, thank you so much for hosting us. It's a pleasure being here. All of us here, it's the first time in Israel, in Tel Aviv. People here have been very friendly, very welcoming, and definitely you guys have I would say, one of the best blockchain communities we've seen anywhere in the world. This year alone, we've done over 25 countries in just 1 year, traveling around the world, doing this Crypto World Tour. And the whole premise of the World Tour was to really travel the world and meet people in blockchain and see how global it was, and also just really try to be a part of it by hosting local events, really get plugged into the community, into the ecosystem, and have hubs of people we can work with all over the world, people like Bitsme, right? So it's a pleasure being here, being joined with my team, Diego, Ugo, and 100x Advisors, being joined by Dan and the other team members over there. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
So feel free to ask any questions, whether on blockchain, crypto, or just anything in general about us.
I suggest maybe you talk a little bit about what you are doing and what the part of your tour world that you are saying to the people, okay, what you are learning about what. So
Yes.
then we'll,
People here are very fond of blockchain.
Question.
ICO is quite a niche, although the big
Yes.
amounts are raised. Why don't you explain them a bit what your part in the process is and what's the meaning behind the tour?
Yeah, so for me, I've kind of built a name in this space by basically doing what I call token metrics, using data and analytics to invest in ICOs. So think of this as Moneyball, if you've watched the movie or the book Moneyball, where they basically use data and analytics to find undervalued baseball players. Well, the same thing is now being applied to sports. So I worked 4 years at IBM working with data, and I said, why can I apply data to investing in ICOs, initial coin offerings? Because prior to that, this space was very, very brand new. It felt like gambling. And we basically created a system that made it where, as opposed to investing in 5 ICOs and having 4 out of 5 lose money, in a space that's filled with lots of bad projects that some people will call scams, we're able to flip that ratio using data and analytics to a point where 4 out of 5 projects will do a 5x or better on your investment. And I was able to build a small. I took a small community and grew it very fast, very quickly in 1 year, just based on that transformation of token metrics and really creating a system that made the average investor be able to compete with funds out there who had more capital. And now I've launched 100x Advisors, which is really our own company to go out there and invest and advise blockchain companies all over the world. And our premier plan is to travel the world, go anywhere. Like our first investment, MetaHash, is a company we traveled to Russia. We were there for a month doing homework on the company. And that's something we think gives us an advantage in addition to token metrics. So we're traveling around the world looking for the next big project to invest in. Because we think that for this space to truly grow, you can't just be on your computer and invest. You have to have boots on the ground, traveling the whole world. That's why we've done 25 countries or more this year. Then, Diego, you guys want to chime in?
Sure. Hi guys, so my name is Diego Lara. I'm a managing partner at 100x Advisors. As Ian mentioned, it's an advisory firm that we launched approximately about 4 to 5 months ago. And the whole idea behind it is to help structure mature blockchain related projects achieve a successful launch with multiple services that we provide. The ideology behind traveling the world is basically to partner up with different service providers and generate a global network in which then we can apply to our system and help these projects achieve a successful launch.
Yeah, my name is Ugo, and just like Diego and Ian mentioned, with our travels, we're able to provide companies with help with exchange listings, reviewing token metrics, marketing and branding, as well as just content creation and suggesting ways they can, get a unique audience and be able to go to market at a good price as well. We also help with our legal help. So far in all our travels, we've been able to engage and meet people that can help these projects grow. And that's what 100X does. We keep evolving with the market condition, traveling and making new contacts that will help our ICOs, do better in the future.
For those of you who don't understand everything the guys are saying, it's totally normal. The blockchain is one of the most complex technologies out there. And one of the problems was that people were very excited about it, but it went so fast. I mean, until you get something, the entire ecosystem is changing. And what those guys here did is like they were the first one to actually share their knowledge. Ian did that with his spreadsheet, which is well famous. I think it's like one of the most viewed spreadsheets in the world. And by sharing their knowledge with us, they're making everyone else have an opportunity to go into the market, into the blockchain. And all of us here are big believers in that technology, in that space. And we need those guys to show the road, to make a difference between a scam project and a valid ICO that actually tries to fix something. And so as they say, they've been traveling the world to finding some partnerships, some local people to help them, some establishment to get deal flows and highlight the good projects. And we at BitsMe are honored that they accepted our offer and joined forces with us. And I'm sure all of us here and all those who are going to attend the meetup will be very happy to meet them.
I have a question.
Yes.
Daniel from HT Magazine. It seems that if a private person wants to invest in ICOs, he needs to be a computer analyst. It's very complicated. And how can a person go about learning to invest in cryptocurrency without being a computer analyst or system analyst?
Very good question.
Thank you.
So that's really what I've been doing on my online platforms with my audience, my community. I've taken somebody who's just an average investor and given them the tools and the skills to go out there and in a very simple manner do homework on a project before investing in a very simple manner. So that way they can compete with people who are professional venture capitalists or professional investors. Right? So for us, it's a very small checklist. The first thing we look for before investing in any kind of project is there a prototype? How good is the technology? Right? Because looking at the data, 90% of the projects that have historically done well had some kind of prototype or technology. They weren't just ideas. Right? So if somebody comes to you with a great idea, but they haven't built anything, doesn't matter how good the idea is, we don't invest. Right? So the first step is there actual technology? Right? So for example, if it's an application, is the application finished? If they're building a brand new blockchain, right, have they launched a testnet or a mainnet? Right? So I mean, sure, these terms may seem technical, but at a high level, it's all about the technology. Do they have something tangible to show? Right? And then after that, the next thing we check is the team. How good is the team? Because looking at the historical data, 60% of the best performing ICOs had what I call an all-star team. They had somebody on there who's credible. Right? So for me, I try to codify this by saying somebody who's worked for a company you know of. Right? So for example, a publicly traded company. For example, engineers at Google, Facebook, Amazon. But if the whole team is unknown and they work for companies you've never heard of, for us, that's a warning sign. And our whole point is to mitigate risk. Right? So that's why we look for people who have credible backgrounds. Maybe they're core developers for Bitcoin or core developers for Ethereum. Something tangible. And same thing with advisors. So at a high level, if you take those first three simple checklists, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good technology, something tangible that it can actually show you, good team and good advisors, that filters out most of the projects out there that have no business raising money from anybody.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Dennis, freelancer. You mentioned that 4 out of 5 companies that you backed succeeded. What do you mean by that?
No, I mean, so if you invest in five companies,
Right.
right, five ICOs, 4 out of 5 of them would do well,
Okay.
right? So
Under your guidance.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So my question is, what's the definition of doing well? Does it mean they
Doing
go
well-
on and build a product, or
No, I mean, based from the investor perspective, from a return on
only
investment,
okay?
meaning that you don't lose your money.
Right. Right. So only the initial. Well.
I mean,
right.
the average. I mean, things that kind of change now with this bear market. But the average was a 5x or more.
Okay. But you don't track them post.
I do.
Post.
Yeah. So every
So
investment.
how have they done since?
I mean, I have to go through and check the actual numbers, right? I mean, but most projects now have pulled back from all-time high. I would say 80% or more, right? But the good ones are still above ICO price. For example, my biggest investment, Icon. Well, actually, my biggest investments were Icon and Wabi. And at the peak, in about 4 months, they did over 100x on your money. Now Icon is down to about a 6, 7x, right? I mean, but ideally, you take profits on the way up, right? And this space is very up and down. It basically goes up and down a lot. And I would say projects like that and Wabi, they're still above ICO price. So even today, despite the pullback by the whole market, 80% or more, you're still up on your investment, 5x or more.
I have another question. Can you say something about Diary of a Made Man? What is it? How did you come up with it? And
Yes, good question. So initially, that was just a diary. I was working a lot. I had so many different things, but I always had a goal of just trying to become better. And I would keep a diary, a blog, of just my failures and things that worked. And it was just a blog I kept. And I kept it because I like the process. Because I feel like if you're striving for a goal, you really have to fall in love with the process, the blood, sweat, and tears, as opposed to falling in love with the end, the goal. Right? So just kind of falling in love with the process. So I did that for a bit. Then probably around 25 or so, I had so many different friends asking me for advice on how to do well in college, how to find your dream job, how to be an entrepreneur, right? And I was like, okay, you know what? Let me take this diary and just kind of turn this into a book. So the idea was to create a book for millennials on how to make 6 figures and how to become financially free. And I was doing that while still keeping diaries of my own things I was trying on. Then I ended up trying out crypto, and that changed everything.
Yeah.
So I went from just being a young millennial, kind of trying to help other people. I would say mainly people in high school, right? So the idea was to create a book that I could give to my younger brother and say, this is a book that will help you do well in life, right? Kind of do well in high school, college, career, things like that. And now the book is about halfway done, but ever since then things changed when I joined the crypto space. Ended up quitting my job at IBM. Ended up becoming a millionaire for the first time, and that really changed the whole perspective on the book. So now it's like I have to add a whole new chapter to the book.
You mentioned in your website something regarding a dictionary that you
Yes.
wrote or formed or startup. What was it and what happened to it?
So back in college, around my sophomore year to senior year, I was working on a company called Lexima, and the idea was to create the world's first social multilingual dictionary. So the idea was similar to maybe a site like Urban Dictionary. People all over the world in multiple languages could submit their own words and basically create this global dictionary. So that was my first time really being an entrepreneur, going out there, pitching to investors, trying to raise capital, going to competitions, and it taught me a lot just about being an entrepreneur. Then I went into graduate school and kind of had to slow down. Then my co-founder ended up basically going a different route with the company, and now it's not really there anymore, right? But it just taught me so much that I ended up taking that and then doing something else after that. So I would say pretty much every failure has taught me something, right? Because I feel like you have to fail, and I feel like failure is in a way a success.
Yeah.
Because people ask me how did you become a big name in crypto in just 1 year? And I said it was because of all the things I'd done before that and learned from. That way, when I was doing this crypto thing and doing the whole diary of a made man thing, I knew what not to do, and that saved me so much time.
Okay, thank you.
Ben from Crypto Jungle and Rabbit Blog. I was wondering what's your mindset on the future of ICOs? It's no secret that people are scared to invest and that are legally also scared because they don't know whether it's going to be a security token or a utility token. Where do you see the future goes?
I definitely do see the future of ICOs right now going more towards similar to equity investing, right? Where only maybe funds or angel investors can invest and not really so much retail investors until there's more regulation around the space. But I feel like in the next 1 or 2 years, the new trend will become STOs, security tokens. And although I don't think it's quite the time right now, I think in a few years that's going to be the next big bubble. So it's similar to what happened in 2017 with ICOs. I think we'll have a similar trend with STOs in a few years. You guys want to chime in?
So just to make sure you think that at least for the next phase or something, then private investors won't be a factor. It will only be venture capitals and investment banks.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the trend that's happened in 2018. Most ICOs now only doing private sales for the most part, right? Especially those that are based in the USA and China, right, where ICOs don't really have much regulation or guidance, and just to really avoid any kind of legal issues, they're only raising from funds.
I would say I don't think it's over for ICOs, but we will definitely see much more STOs than ICOs in the short future.
And then just to kind of add on, I mean, I don't think ICOs are dead per se. I just think they're evolving,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Derek Mark. I was deeply looking into the nucleus vision project. It's a very interesting one, and when you were deeply involved.
Yes.
And I was wondering how the collaboration started, like you and nucleus vision. And another question, will you ever be advising for another project?
Yes. So Nucleus Vision was a very interesting story. It began at an event like this. So I met Albi, the CEO, in Los Angeles. I was there for BlockCon, a crypto conference, and he came to. I was having a meetup after the conference. This is just a happy hour. He came there with other crypto people, and he pitched me his idea of Nucleus Vision. And initially, I wasn't so bullish on the idea, but he was very persistent, as most entrepreneurs are, but in a very respectful way. Right? We ended a few weeks later. We had a call, talked more about the company, spoke with other investors on the project, had my team do more homework on the project. So it was, I would say over the course of a month and a half of just doing homework on the project, I was able to say, okay, you know what, this is something I want to invest in. Right? Then based off of that, I knew this was something I wanted to also advise. Right? Because I've learned that it's only good to advise projects you have skin in the game, projects you're willing to invest in. Right? Then from there, I ended up meeting him again in Macau. I was there once again for a crypto conference. And from there, that's when we made things official. In terms of whether I'll be advising new projects, yes. Although right now the space in the market, we're very, very cautious with what we invest in. Now our strategy has shifted to we do lots of in-person homework. For example, the last company I'm investing in advising in, MetaHash, we were with them in Russia, in Moscow, Russia, for almost a month, just doing homework in person. This is in addition to everything we're doing behind closed doors with a spreadsheet and tokenmetrics and analysis, also that face-to-face interaction. And this kind of, because nowadays we feel like tokenmetrics just helps us filter out. If you have 100 projects, helps you filter them down to maybe 5 or 10. Then those 5 or 10, you have to really meet them in person, go to their offices, meet everybody in the team, hang out with them for a long period of time to really see if this is the company you want to back long term.
Yeah, in addition to, I think it's extremely important to have that face-to-face interaction. I'm a strong believer in the programming that people have. And when you have that face-to-face interaction, you definitely get to experience their success on previous ventures, how they're programmed towards achieving success. Are they willing to go the extra mile? Are they really passionate about the project? And so I think that's one of the key components And one of the reasons that differentiates us from just VCs and funds that we're willing to go out there wherever the project is at and really spend time with the founders, the team, to get to know them on a personal level.
And just to add on to that, so to us, advising is much more than just advising, right? Because from advising other projects and also talking to other advisors in the space, I've learned that, especially in the blockchain and cryptocurrency space, lots of companies want to have advisors just to show on their website to the community that, hey, we have these big names. But they don't actually leverage their advisors. They don't actually listen to their advisors. And to us, that's the most important thing, right? Because we don't want to be just faces on a website. So we think that that in-person interaction really gets to know whether or not this company wants to really have you advise them or just wants you to just have on their site and tell people they have a big name.
You're stealing all my panel questions.
Yeah, that's a question for later.
Please let me take you away from the blockchain. Can you say something about your filmmaking? Because I understand that you are producing films, directing films, aside from cryptocurrency.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I've always loved film. It came initially from me having back to my diary. I'd also like keeping video diaries of my travels at first, then just more in my life, right? So then that ended up parlaying into me being a freelance, basically making freelance films, first for corporations, then just for fun. I have a documentary I did covering DC Fashion Week. That was just a good experience, just meeting people in that space and just learning how to film. So film has always been something I have a passion for. And because I feel like film is one of the best mediums for educating people and also storytelling. And I love to tell stories. So when I joined the crypto space, I mean, I've just built my audience through video and film. And now, after I quit my job at IBM, and I was traveling the world, I wanted to capture that story on camera. That's why I brought on Dan, I brought on Justin to really help tell that story because they had done this before with other big names like Black Eyed Peas and other big names covering their videos. I said, you know what? I want to have somebody really capture this story, right? And now the idea is to really invest into this and try to make this something even bigger. So, for example, now we launched a brand new show called 100x Live, which is, in a way, a live crypto news show. And we think if this really takes off, we can start to bring in other influencers and start creating their own shows. And then this can now turn really into the first live crypto news network. So for us, video is really a great medium to just educate and storytell. And it's something we're willing to invest in this space.